Welcome to the Little Wins Podcast, where school leaders share their little wins that build strong culture, with your host, Karen Borchert. Hello, welcome to the Little Wins Podcast, where we highlight the small, powerful ways school leaders are building stronger, more joyful cultures in their communities. I'm your host, Karen Borchert, and today I'm joined by Dr. Vito Perrone, Superintendent of 5 districts in Western Massachusetts, a uniquely collaborative setup of 5 small districts, 5 school boards, and 5 schools, ranging from intimate elementary campuses to a combined 7 to 12 high school. That's over 30 school committee members supporting the work, a true testament to community engagement. What makes Vito's story so compelling is the energy and clarity he brings to a complex system. He stepped into leadership with a commitment to people-first culture, transparent communication, and team building. And in just his first year, he began to foster a sense of unity and shared purpose across 5 distinct districts. Vito, welcome to Little Wins. We're so excited that you're here.
Thank you, Karen. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's dig in. Let's start with your district. We need a quick primer on how this unique setup of 5 districts work, and how it is that you are the superintendent of all of them.
Okay, so Western Mass is regional in much of its character, and it's rural. And so I live in West Hampton. One of the districts in which I am superintendent is, in fact, West Hampton. My children went to West Hampton Elementary School. In West Hampton is also Hampshire Regional, which is the 7 through 12 flagship for the 5 districts. And we also have Southampton, Norris Elementary School. We have Williamsburg, which is Auntie Dumphy Elementary School. And then we have the Chesterfield Goshen, which is the New Hingham Elementary School.
Okay. So do I have it correct that you report to 5 different school committees?
Yeah, it's a challenge. We each of the schools has its own distinct school committee, and so I have 5 sets of bosses across the 5 districts. The regional is a compilation of many of the members from the separate elementary schools, but it is daunting to say the least, because we have meetings every week, sometimes a couple meetings a week, and I have to answer to that 5 sets of bosses who have the students first. I think is one consistency that really is refreshing. But
Excellent.
There's the purpose and focus on elementary school versus regional high school is challenging, and that there's some growing pains and some push and pull there.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So you just finished your first year as superintendent is in the districts. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
So, ready for your second year?
Oh, absolutely. Can't even wait. I one of the things that really excited me about this opportunity to lead was that I was going to be able to be present. I was going to be able to build relationships, establish connections with stakeholders, from students to teachers to principals to school committee members, but also to the communities at large.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about the job. The job of superintendent is not necessarily fun, but what makes it fun for me is being involved, being engaged, being a part of the life of the schools. And that has been hugely rewarding for me. Not only because my children personally went through the school system, but also because I'm invested. I live in West Hampton, and I want this to be the best place for our children to learn and to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So take us back to the first days on the job of a very complex district. Where did you focus? You had all kinds of things going on and all of these different things. Where was your focus as you got started?
That it was the focus was building initially a central office team, because when I was hired, there were no other central office leadership positions.
Wow.
Everyone had left, and part of the reality of the situation was those who came before me faced the challenge of 5 districts and 5 sets of bosses. And it's a really complex system and a difficult system to be a part of, to manage, to embrace. And so when I came in, they hired me, and I had to hire an assistant superintendent, a business administrator, assistant business administrator, a director of pupil services. And it was July. So
oh my gosh,
finding people that were interested in coming to a place as complex as this, and B, that were ready to make a move in the summer when they were gearing up for their own new school year in their districts. It was hard. And I was very fortunate to get some excellent, talented, intelligent people that were committed to helping bring the districts together and to rebuilding relationships and trust. And that's not just with the building principals, but it's also with the select boards of the various towns, with the finance committees of the various towns, and the town administrators. So there's a lot of sleepless nights that first summer.
I bet.
Some wake ups at 3:30 and not being able to get back to sleep, thinking about what's the next move.
Yes.
But really, I was fortunate, and I truly feel blessed that I was able to get together a team, and and that's really how I like to frame things, is we have been working together to really move the districts forward in a positive way. Because when I was interviewed, they shared with me and the other candidates the challenges that were ahead of us.
Yeah.
And, it kind of put me back on my heels. And I said, I can't do that. I said, but we can do that. We can create a team that leads and brings people together. And if we can, build off energy that's positive and that is founded on a shared goal, then we can make it happen. And that's really how I try to frame things.
Excellent. That's wonderful that you can really hear that sort of relationship building and trust as the leadership culture that you are building there. How did that play out in those first few months? How did you start to really grow the leadership culture there that you wanted to see? How did you do that?
I'm a true believer, and I was a college athlete. I played football, and I was a coach for 20 some odd years, and I bring that experience, that philosophy, that mentality to leadership. I want to empower people to grow. I want to bring people together to solve problems, because in this world, in this time, we can't solve all the problems that are out there. But in our sphere of influence, we can really have positive effect. And that's one of the things that I've really tried to do is help people feel that they are part of the solution. From students to teachers to principals, central office team, to parents. We have to come together in order to move us forward together. And that's one of the things that I really focused on. And part of that is really putting yourself out there, building relationships and trust with people, following through and doing what you said you're going to do, being very clear what the roles and responsibilities are, communicating very effectively what the expectations are, and then holding everybody accountable, including me, to that vision, if you will. And it's really, it's not brain surgery, right? It's building relationships. It's helping people feel that you care about them, that you want to work with them to better the situation, whatever that situation is.
Yeah. Yeah. You've told me before about something you introduced called the 4 C's. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Sure. And again, I've been in education for over 30 years.
Yeah.
I've been a principal at a couple different districts, and I was an interim superintendent in West Springfield.
Okay.
And one of the things I felt I needed to do there was really simplify things and boil things down to what's really important.
Yeah.
And so I thought about communication, collaboration, community, and compassion.
Mm.
And really the foundation of everything is having compassion for those with whom you work and making sure that they know you care about them, making sure that you're communicating effectively with them. And part of communication is listening, right? It's not just talking over people. It's listening and really hearing what's going on in their lives. I think about my time when I taught in prison. I was in Northern Nevada, and I was a correctional educator for 10 years.
Wow.
And when I was in the Northern Nevada Correctional Center teaching, I was teaching adults. They were men that were incarcerated, but they wanted to make a change in their life. And one of the things that they used to say is, "Do you feel me?" And, not that just you hear me, but you feel me.
Feel me.
And that really stuck with me. And I really try to feel where people are coming from and listen to what they're saying. Because a lot of times people, when we interact in my role, they're very elevated, whether it's they're emotionally elevated or they're angry or they're sad or they're worried or whatever the case may be. So I really want to feel where someone's coming from and listen and help them kind of let that out and de-escalate a situation, because then we can start working together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So with 5 distinct schools and districts, I imagine that creating a sense of unity has to be so important across that. How do you do that? How do you create this sense of unity and also create, sort of an appreciation for or compassion for the distinct cultures that are at each of these buildings or in each of these districts?
Right. The strategic plan for the 5 districts was where I started. And one of the things that was interesting to me is no one really knew anything about the strategic plan. It was a 5-year plan, and it goes until 27. And so, I did some research, looked at the plan, and what I wanted to do was find through lines from the strategic plan to school improvement planning, to district improvement planning, to school improvement planning, to individual educator goals, including my own.
Yeah.
And so create consistency, communicate the strategic objectives, the planned activities that are supposed to guide the work that's happening, and make sure that there's cohesion from that visionary kind of document all the way down to what drives me as an educator, as a leader, to do what I need to do. And so when I thought about what we can do to bring people together, it's providing a sense of consistency, providing that community that even though one elementary school is in West Hampton and it's very rural, and the other one's in Southampton and it's a little bigger and it's a little more, I wouldn't say urban, but suburban.
Yeah.
And they all have, each of the schools has their own specific challenges and things that they're working through and goals that they have. But what brings us together is the fact that, the educational relationship is really about students and teachers, right? When you talk about the instructional core, you talk about student, teacher, and curriculum in the classroom. That's the instructional core. And that's the consistency that we have across all the schools. So if we can drive a cohesive message from strategic plan to individual educator goals, and keep in mind that those are relevant and authentic. Like, that's key, because I've been in places where goals become binders that you write and they go into a bookcase and they collect dust.
Yeah.
Right? That is not what I truly believe that goals should be. I
Right.
think they should be genuine, authentic drivers for what we do every day in our roles and responsibilities.
That's wonderful. Can you, Dr. Perrone, can you give us an example of a goal that you guys have that you really think kind of speaks to that relevant, authentic? I think talking about authenticity in the same conversations as goals is a little bit kind of a you don't hear those two things, talk, because goals tend to be very lofty, very, and also like, they're SMART goals and they're, measurable and all of the,
Yeah.
achievable, but we don't talk about them as authentic and relevant as often as we talk about, measurable and achievable. So
Right.
talk to me about a goal that you have that you feel like fits that or speaks to that instructional core in your district.
Yeah. I guess it really, for me, it comes back to the goal themselves, like the individual
Mhm.
professional practice goal or student learning goal.
Mhm.
In order for those to be real, to be relevant, to be authentic, they have to resonate with your role and responsibility as an educator.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they really have to, the meat and potatoes of your goal are your planned activities. What are you going to do in
Yep.
order to make this goal come true? So
Mm.
for me, when I thought about the creation of a central office team that supported stakeholders by establishing relationships, building trust, communicating expectations. Those are the things that were the vision for it. But in order to do that, how am I going to do that? I'm going to have updates
Yeah.
regularly for
Mm.
school committee members. I'm going to provide opportunities for teachers, parents, students, and the community to offer feedback, input
Mm.
on what's happening. So I can hear, but you have to be present. You have to be
Mm.
in the classrooms. You have to be in the hallways. You have to be at events. And those are the expectations I set for us as a leadership
Mhm.
team,
Mm.
because it's really easy as a central office administrator to sit in this office, right? And
Yep.
get locked into those things that have to happen. But that takes you away from the life of the schools.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, in order to make sure that things are relevant and authentic, you have to be present, right,
Yeah.
in what you're doing. So, the goals that you create are real. They
Yeah.
are, yeah, measurable. Well, I want to make sure that bi-weekly I'm communicating with the school committees,
Mhm.
apart from the school committee meetings, right? Just
Right.
keeping them abreast, keeping them updated on what's going
Yeah.
on, but also having weekly meetings with my central office team. What's
Mm.
going on with you? Give me some feedback, making sure that the central office administrative assistants have voice and
Mm.
are empowered to be a part of the team so that they feel valued.
Yeah.
Ensuring that principals and the leadership team, so the principals and vice principals in the buildings, the central office team, we would regularly meet. We would have agendized meetings and empower principals to bring items to the agenda. Make
Yeah.
sure that people feel a part of the process, that
Yeah.
people feel empowered, that
Mm.
people feel that we care, that we're
Yeah.
present, and that we
Yeah.
are part of not only the vision, but the solutions. And
Mm.
that it's not, I know I'm the superintendent, right? And so ultimately the responsibility lies on my shoulders.
Right.
But as I said when we were talking previously, I, as an individual, can't do anything alone.
Mm.
We can do a lot together.
Right.
And that's
Right.
really how I try to keep those things forefront in especially that goal where it's talking about the central office team,
Yeah.
creating relationships, providing support.
Mm.
Because I want principals to know that we have their back, that
Yep.
if they need a resource, we have it. If they need just a sounding board, they have it.
They have it.
They need legal advice, they have it. Whatever it is that they need, that's what we give them. And I have 3 things on the board. How can I help? On my board. That's the first thing I wrote is, how can I help?
Okay.
And that's my mantra as a superintendent. So if I talk to a teacher and she's upset about X, Y, or Z, how can I help?
How can I help?
Students are having a bad day. Hey, how can I help you? So those things are simple.
Yeah.
But if you do them consistently, if people feel that they're real and authentic, and that you, as an educator, are part of the solution, then you're able to make progress. The other 2 things, who needs to know, right?
Yeah.
And the last one, was it confirmed? I got into a little hot water. I made a decision and I hadn't really confirmed what I needed to confirm. So those are the 3 things that I kind of just keep on the board to keep me grounded, if you will.
That's great. That's great. How can I help? Who needs to know?
Yeah.
Is it confirmed?
Was it confirmed? Right.
Yeah. That's great. That's very, very, very practical. I like that. Going back really quick to, you mentioned soliciting and getting feedback and input from principals, from teachers, community members, et cetera. And again, you have a specifically complex situation, having so many different kind of communities and schools and school committees involved here. How practically, tactically, how do you get that feedback, and what do you do to let people know that you heard it, or that or that this is what you're doing with that feedback, or this is what you're doing because of that feedback? How do you do that, like in practical ways? What might another superintendent do to do this the way that you do it?
So one of the things that probably the main driver for the feedback is a Google form, right?
Okay.
You create Google forms, you send them out periodically. What I did was I sent out a beginning of the year, hey, where have you been? Right?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'd like to hear what's your challenge, what's your concern, what are your questions?
Yep.
And then mid-year, similarly, how we doing? What's the feedback you have for me? What's the positive? What's the negative? It's for me, constructive criticism is part of how we grow as educators. And that's how I feel the evaluation system should work. Thinking about Carol Dweck, I think it is, that did a growth mindset.
Yep.
Really think about how you can improve and learn and make sure that your practice isn't stagnant, right?
Yeah.
You have to be a dynamic, and I don't mean the connotation there for dynamic for me is not set in stone, right? You have to be able to change. You have to be able to rock and roll a little bit. And part of that is really taking criticism and taking it to heart, but taking it to heart in order to improve, not taking it to heart to be despondent, right?
Right.
So anyways, last year I did 3 surveys. I asked my principals similarly to do that. I did it with stakeholders. I did it with teachers. I did it with my own team. And that's a lot of stuff, right? So
you get a lot back from that.
A lot back. So what tools can we use to qualitatively analyze what you're getting? AI is wonderful. It brings those things out. Sometimes in the beginning of the year, what I did was I did a word cloud, and we did a word cloud as a central office team with the input we received at the beginning of the year. And so the big words are the words that are on most people's minds, right? Thematic. And so what we did was we because of the different start dates, we couldn't really have a convocation where everybody gets together. So we did the central office roadshow, and we had a series of slides, and the entire central office team, leadership team, went to each school, and we did our slide presentation. And the first thing we showed the teachers was the word cloud. Hey, we heard you, right?
Cool.
And we recognize that trust is a huge word there because that's not what you've felt, right?
Okay.
Or relationships. So that was one of the ways this past year, that we started things off. hey, we're
Cool.
listening. But also, sometimes people say things that aren't tenable. You can't really do
Yeah.
them
Right.
in reality, but sometimes that you can. And so do it.
Yeah.
So if someone gives you some feedback and says, hey, it'd be really nice if
Yep.
you had uh, a newsletter, right?
Yeah.
And so I started a newsletter
Newsletter. Okay.
at this I think it was in the beginning of the spring because of the mid-cycle
Yep.
input that I received. So I
Mm.
think people appreciate that. And when I get into buildings, having conversations, being present at events,
Mhm.
sporting events, art shows, musicals, you name it. And that was one of the things that I think people really, really appreciated was,
Yeah.
hey, you're here. You're part of what we're about. Going to see SpongeBob the play at ATD,
Yeah.
anti-donkey school, and going to field day at
Yep.
New Hingham. Just being part of the life of the school, and that was really easy for me at the high school level because my office is in actually Hampshire Regional.
Mm.
But the elementary school is a little more challenging because there's 5 of them. Sometimes they have events on the same night,
Yeah.
but do the best you can to be a part of the life of the school. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think I lost track of your question, but
No, I love what you were saying about, kind of overall about feedback and about, getting feedback. And one of the things I wanted to come back to a bit is you talked a little bit about how there's sometimes things come through in the feedback or input that just can't be done. Do you, we hear a lot about principals or superintendents who will say, I just want to let you know that I heard this request and it's not feasible for us right now, but this is why, and that has a huge impact on educators and on teams overall to just say, hey, we heard you, we know that this is something that's of interest, it's not something that we can do at this time, and here's what's going on. Do you do anything like that as far as communicating out what you are and potentially are not doing with the feedback you get?
absolutely. We have what's called Parent Square. And so
Yep.
Parent Square is hooked up through Power School, our student information system, and it reaches out, if you will, to the various stakeholder groups.
Yeah.
And so that platform is one of the means that I would connect with people. And
That's
I'm
great.
kind of a goofball. I put little cartoons on there
Love
sometimes,
it.
just funny stuff or stuff that's funny to me. I don't know if people look at it and go, "What's wrong with that dude?" But it makes me. It feels like it lightens things up sometimes.
Yes.
Um, around the holidays or long weekend, maybe send out a message. But yes, with respect to that specifically, I really try to respond to every email I get.
Okay.
Uh, Sometimes those emails aren't what the people want to hear,
Yep.
but I have to, keep in mind Mass General Law, right?
Mhm.
Um, Policy and handbooks. And sometimes you don't give people the answer that they want to hear. But if you consistently apply with compassion those things, Mass General Law, policy, handbooks, etc., then people start hearing that, okay, he didn't give me the answer I wanted, but he didn't
Right.
get him the answer he wanted and her the answer she wanted either. So, there's a lot of,
And they know that you heard them,
yes.
which I think is maybe 80% of it, right? It's
Yeah.
the 80% of it is just saying like, okay, I got to say what I needed to say. Somebody heard what I had to say. So I love that.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, Karen, it's really easy to write emails, right?
Yeah.
But what I've really tried to do is either follow up with a visit. So, if for example it's a teacher that had a question or a concern, then go visit.
Yeah.
Let the principal know, hey, I'm going to go visit Mrs. Smith. We're going to have a conversation. But sit down with her.
Yeah.
And if a parent is upset or a student is upset, hey, come into my office. Let's shut the door.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation. Give somebody an opportunity to get whatever it is off their chest, and then you can really start talking about solutions when we de-escalate situations. And I find myself doing that quite a bit.
That's great. Okay, so you finished your first year, you're about to go into your second year. What are you most proud of in your first year, and what are you most excited about for the incoming year?
Um, so what I'm most proud of are the connections I've made with the people who are the 5 districts, right?
Yeah.
Um, I was walking on campus of one of the elementary schools, and a first grader, or no, it was a kindergarten student. They were playing outside, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and one of the students said, "Hey, it's Dr. Perrone. That's a superintendent." And her mother was on the other side of the sidewalk with peers,
Yeah.
and she goes, "They know who you are," and that
Ah,
that meant a lot to me.
yeah, I
Uh,
bet.
it was awesome. And I say this not to be disparaging to anybody previously, but when my youngest, was graduating, it was the last school year, not 25 but
Yes.
24. Um I, I had been interviewing for the job, and it was announced that I was going to be getting the job. And
Yeah.
so we were going to graduation at Hampshire Regional. It's outside, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I was walking down with my daughter and my family, and I said, "Hey, your superintendent's going to be here." She goes, "Dad, I don't even know if I know what she looks like." And
Well,
that cemented for me
that
what
was your marching orders.
yeah, that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not disparaging the
Right.
superintendent before. She was buried with the job. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get it. But I
Yeah.
said, you know what? I am going to be present. And
Yeah.
so um that moment when I was walking down the sidewalk, and the student said that, and the parent
So good.
echoed that, that was like, oh,
It's
that's
so
what
good.
it's all
Yeah.
about.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. And so
Um,
looking
eh,
to this school
mhm,
year, um, I guess I really want to deepen
mm,
connections. I want to enhance trust, build relationships even more. I think about um, my son and his girlfriend just had a baby, so I'm thinking
aw.
about the baby. But the umbilical cord is the key, right?
Yeah.
And the thicker that umbilical cord is, the more robust
Mm,
the nutrients and
right.
the right. That's what I want. I want to have a thick
Mhm,
cord and a thick connection with the kids and the teachers and
mm,
the stakeholders in
that's
in
great.
in, in the districts. That's what
What
I want.
what's something you'll do practically this year to strengthen those connections and strengthen that kind of cord between you and the principals or the teachers?
Yeah, I've only been here a year,
Yeah.
right? So many people have been here decades,
Yes.
principals over a decade. So I'm the new guy. So 1 year doesn't cut it, right? I
Right.
have to build on the successes. I have to
Mhm.
learn from the challenges, and so I can't rest on one story of a student that recognized
Right.
me, right?
Right, right.
Have to continue to be part of the life of the school. I have to
Yeah.
continue to support principals, to provide what they need to do their job, to make sure that they can operate in their role as captains of the ship, right?
Yep.
Without worry about those things that the central office team should be taking care of.
Yeah.
And that's similar. We have to make sure that teachers have what they need, right?
Yeah.
We have to make sure that teachers feel supported, and that students have what they need. Students feel supported. Parents have what they need. Parents feel supported. So those are all the things that have
Yeah.
to be reinforced this
Mm.
year.
Yeah.
Fiscally speaking, we have a lot of challenges that are going across the state of Massachusetts.
Mhm.
There's tons of uncertainty based on some of the executive orders that we're hearing about around title grants. Um, there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really, really talk about, I think about, and I try to share is, and I was an English teacher, right? I taught
Yeah.
literature for many years in the prison. I taught it at high schools. So I like to talk through images. And one of those things is that pond, right? You have a placid pond sitting there, and that's your sphere
Yeah.
of influence. You throw a stone in it, and those ripples that go out, You
Right.
want those to be positive, right?
Mm.
You want positive energy. You know, Maya Angelou said people forget what you say, forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made
How
them
to,
feel,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Love it.
I get excited just thinking about that image because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
if I can have a positive relationship, positive interaction with you when you're having a bad day, if I can
Hmm.
listen and feel you when you need to be felt, right? That's
Hmm.
important
Yeah.
because people sometimes don't feel heard and they
Hmm.
don't feel like anybody cares about them.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really as simple as that, I feel. But
Yeah.
those are the things that I'm looking at into this next school year is really reinforcing the fact that, hey, we're here. We're people too. We
Yep.
want to be a part of the life of the school and we're going to be there. And if
Yeah.
you see me at a softball game, come over and talk to me. And I
Yeah.
sent
Come say
that
hi.
message out. Hey,
Yeah.
say hello. You know, the admin team, the leadership team from central office, we're out and about.
That's
Come say
great.
hello. Meet us.
That's great. I have to know, what was your favorite book to teach as a high school English teacher? That's where I got my start in my career, was in teaching
Um,
English.
Really? So I think I really dug teaching sophomores. That
Hmm.
was like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Flies was one of
Oh,
those books that I really enjoyed teaching just because of all the things that came out of it.
yes.
To Kill a Mockingbird, of
Of
course,
course.
you
Yeah.
know, but one of the most poignant, if you will,
Yeah.
uh, lessons that I did, and it was a unit, I guess, was looking at Machiavelli, right?
Mm.
15th century
Hmm.
Machiavelli, and then comparing and contrasting Tupac Shakur's some of his lyrics in the
No
prison
way.
setting. Oh my God. It
Oh my
was
gosh.
awesome.
That is awesome. I would
It
love to take
was
that class.
awesome. Yeah,
That's that's
we had a
super cool.
lot of fun in the prison setting, and I guess I could put fun in quotes, but you know, when inmates, men who are incarcerated and you know, really recidivists that
Mm.
are going back and back and back, but then when they finally make a decision for education to change their life, it does, right?
Mm.
And so you look at recidivism rates. That's the focus of my dissertation when I was doing my PhD was correctional education in Nevada, and so I learned a lot through that process. And I was going to go in that direction towards a director of correctional education or something like that, but for whatever reason, I went in a different direction and became an assistant principal at a middle school. But those opportunities for incarcerated adults to feel empowered, to
Mm.
feel that their choice is going to drive them in a different direction in their life
Hmm.
is huge. And they
Yeah.
don't come back when they make that decision.
Wow. That's it. I just have to say it out loud again. When people make a decision for education to change their lives, it does.
It does.
That I It's like I'm gonna remember it all day. That's it. That's awesome. I love it. Well, you have given us so much wisdom here. We always ask the same 3 questions at the end of the episode. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
The first one is, what are the 3 words you want to define your district culture? I have 3 in my head that I think you might say based on our conversation, but I can't wait to hear. What are
So
the 3 words you want to define your district's culture?
compassionate,
Mhm.
communicative, and collaborative. I'll just give 3 of my 4 C's.
That's good. I like it. I like it. Those are awesome. I love it. Okay, what is one little win you've had at work lately that we can celebrate today?
I tell you, this one was huge for me. In the fall, in high schools,
Yep.
your students are inducted into the National Honor Society, or one of those academic
Yeah.
societies. And so it's October, November, and I had been at soccer games and I'd been at football games and in classrooms, and the kids, you know, they knew who I was, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I would go to lunch. I would sit at the lunch tables and just talk to kids and
Yeah.
walk around, and so they knew who I was. And in October, I got invited to speak at the induction of the Academic
Mm.
Society for Hampshire Regional.
Oh, cool.
And that hadn't happened here in a long time that the superintendent was kind of invited and recognized as being part of the life of the school. So that meant a lot to me. And I was able to talk about that sphere of influence. And I was able to talk about the ability of us to help people feel positive about their situation. And, of course, I used the Maya Angelou quote, right?
Yeah.
And I shared some of the images that resonate with me as a person. And so that was it. That meant a lot to me.
That's
and I
great.
thanked the kids. I said, that really, at the end of it, I was like, thank you so much for allowing me to be your speaker tonight.
Oh,
And
that's
it was
awesome.
it was awesome.
That's super great.
Yeah.
Okay. Third question.
Okay.
We're around here. We kind of say that, school culture is everybody's job. It's not just the job of the leader or the superintendent. So what's one thing you believe any educator can do to improve their school or district culture right now?
Be present. You have to be present in the moment. Right? We can't worry about funding sources. We can't worry about things we can't control. Right? And so that's another thing I talked about that at graduation this year was there's so much going on in the world that can derail us from what we're doing in the moment. Right? But we have no control over that.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do is exercise that agency and control over what we can affect positively. Right? Throw that stone in the pond and those ripples of positivity go out. That's what I want people to feel when I interact with them. And that's what you can do as an educator, right?
Yeah.
In your classroom. I talked about that with the teachers at the COT roadshow. I talked about, me as a teacher and that classroom being my sphere of influence, a coach, my team, as a principal, my school, now as a superintendent, my districts, right?
Right.
And so those are the things that I think are really important. Being present, really listening and feeling where people are coming from, and then letting them feel you and know that you're there for them and that you're real and present.
That's great. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us today. Your story is such a powerful example of thoughtful leadership and human connection and how that leads to create meaningful change. I love some of the little wins and little ideas you have, doing a central office roadshow. So transferable. I love things like cartoons and newsletters, asking for feedback and then communicating back how you utilized and heard that feedback. All of those things are things that I think lead district and school educators to feel heard and, like you said, empowered. So thank you for sharing so many great ideas that I know so many folks will take with them today. And we hope you have a wonderful second year on the job.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know how you guys got a hold of my name, but I'm really glad that you reached out. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to share with you. And it's been a pleasure.
Have a little win? We'd love to hear from you. Learn how we help schools build strong culture at getalpaca.com.